Absolutely, man.
Sounds like you want that smoke with Facebook, man.
Yeah.
So listen, I see you pulling up all this data.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. No, honestly,
pay the people.
I think Facebook has done so much good for the world, but I think there's been some pretty clear mistakes they've made that they've had a lot of time to fix, but for some reason they just haven't fixed it yet. So I'm hoping that
Yeah,
startups like us will be able to push them to do it.
we're like, all right, I can relax the rest of the night. The next thing you know, you're putting out a fire. You know, this is how it goes, most definitely. So, Swish, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back. First and foremost, guys, Swish has been on the pod before. He is an OG, hustle over everything alumni. We had him when we were actually doing when Alex and I combined forces, and Swish was one of the first guests that we had in that era. And what I remember is like Swish was, I don't know what kind of room you're in, bro, but it just looked like you're in the dungeon. Alex and I's Corona, our lineups are looking fugazi, but here we are,
Yeah.
updated cameras, and we're back, man, and we're excited to talk to you to learn more about the updates of your business, everything going on in your personal life. There's been a lot of changes, and it's crazy what can happen within slightly over 12 months. So we're ready to get in the nitty gritty of it. So let's kick things off, man. Al.
100%, 100%. A lot to go through. I can't believe it's honestly been 12 months. It felt like a month or two ago, but time has just been moving so quickly. Like this year has gone by like this. It's crazy.
Honestly, and you've done a lot in this last 12 months. You acquired a whole company, if I'm not mistaken, and you've launched a new company, Surf. So first things first, let's talk about some of the challenges, what you've learned from it, and then let's get to those companies you've dropped over the last few months and what you're looking to do in the future. So, man, how has the pandemic been for you? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, the pandemic's been super interesting. I think from a personal side, it's obviously sucked just because, I'm a very social person. I like speaking at physical events. I like hanging out with my friends. I like playing basketball outside, and not being able to do stuff like that was, pretty sad. But again, everything's, part of, I think, life and looking at kind of your struggles is you got to do it through empathy and perspective. And so when I look at other people and maybe the type of situation they're in, losing their job or, being stuck in a room that doesn't have any sunlight coming in, or having to not be able to go back home to see their family members, then I start to see that, okay, my struggles aren't actually that bad. So other than that, though, professionally, things have been great, though. I think the pandemic honestly helped us more than anything because we are a digital company. We are helping brands find their top fans online. We're helping them generate data, emails, phone numbers on their community so they can retarget them. And that whole industry has blown up during the pandemic because the only way for brands to engage with their end consumer was online, digitally, and they couldn't do it anymore in person or physically. So we've had a lot more interest just from brands signing up. We obviously acquired a platform called Player GG out of Kelowna, British Columbia, and we were able to bring on not only their technology and their brand and their customers, but also their team. So since the pandemic started, where we were only about 13 people, we've now grown to a company of 42 people. And it's been crazy. We rolled out a product as well called Surf 3 months we started working on it. We rolled the product out about 2-3 weeks ago. And it's just been a crazy ride over the last year in terms of figuring out exactly where the company is going, what our vision is, who we want to surround ourselves with. Everything has come to light a lot more. And I feel like we're a little bit more clear about everything in the last year.
Let's talk about that. You have been able to acquire these two companies and launch new companies, acquire a company, launch a company in such a short period of time. Do you have like a regimen when it comes to acquiring a company now that you just follow? Like at this point, it's just cut and paste of what you've already done in the past? And if you do, what is that regimen that you kind of go for now?
Yeah, so I think when we started TrueFan about 3.5 years ago, the goal was just help brands or influencers or celebrities find who their top fans were, right? That was a very specific goal that we had, very niche. And we didn't think anything beyond it. But obviously, as you start to get into building something, you learn a lot more about where you can go, not only from reading, but also just by talking to customers, by bringing on new team members that have their own ideas for the business. And so one of the initial ideas we had about 2.5 years ago is, okay, it's great that brands can find their top fans, but could they find their competitors' top fans? And instead of going out and building that feature, we actually found a really awesome company called Social Rank out of New York that did exactly that. We negotiated a really good deal with them. That deal was actually an asset transfer. So we didn't bring any team members on. We just brought on their technology, their brand, and their customers. And the same thing, I think, with our acquisition with Player GG. We saw that, okay, our platform was great for analyzing Instagram and Twitter data. We were helping brands find their top fans and their competitors' top fans. But the world of marketing is going away from third-party data. It's going to first-party data, meaning data you get directly from consumers. Because in a world where people are privacy conscious, all of these third-party cookies are going away. You have ad blockers losing effectiveness. You have, paid ads losing effectiveness. You have ad blockers rising. You have Apple's iOS update making it that, app developers need to go and ask for permission for people to track you. All of these changes are pointing to the fact that data and privacy is going to be more and more important going forward. And one of the things that is going to be important is that users have control over their data and can determine who has it and who doesn't have it. So Player GG was really cool because when we acquired them, we saw an ability through their platform, which is mainly a giveaways platform, to start generating data for some of our customers. Some customers like Netflix or the NBA that have an incredible following on Instagram and Twitter, well, do you want to know more about those people? Do you want to know their email? Do you want to know their mailing address? Do you want to know their phone number? Do you want to know some of their interests and preferences? And the way we allowed them to get that information was by setting up a value exchange where the brand can directly offer something to consumers, and our software is kind of the middle ground where both brands and consumers can have that value exchange happen. So that's what we literally did for the majority of the pandemic. Is we built this unified product where we were helping brands generate, segment, and activate social and first party data. And it was only, I think, in March of this year where we started to think, what more can we do? And that's where we came up with the idea for Surf. It's not a separate company, actually. It's just a separate product. But it will eventually feed back into the TrueFan brand platform when we monetize it, because Surf is going to offer us the ability to get into web data, which is something we haven't done yet. We've only stuck with Instagram and Twitter data as well as first-party data like phone numbers and emails. We haven't done anything around web analytics or web traffic, and that's what we're going to be able to do through Surf down the road.
Before joining into Surf, let's just go back about the acquisition process of acquiring Player GG. What stage was their business in? How are they doing? And what was that conversation like when you approached them to say, hey, TrueFan, we want to acquire you? Walk us through that journey of, who they are as a business, where they were at, and, what ultimately made them decide TrueFan and join forces.
Yeah, I think Player GG was interesting because they had an incredible team. Like, their team was very well built out from a sales perspective, from a customer support perspective, and especially from a product perspective. Their president was a guy named Andrew, who's now our CTO. Andrew previously co-founded a network security company called Pertino. He sold that to Cradlepoint, and then he eventually became Cradlepoint's head of software and architecture. And Cradlepoint sold last year for $1.4 billion to Ericsson. So Andrew's being a Silicon Valley veteran. He just moved back to Canada about a year ago to Kelowna, British Columbia, and that's where he started working with Player GG. So they had this great talent. They had a pretty seamless product, but the thing they were mainly struggling at that time was customers. They just didn't have the brand relationships that we had to be able to go and sell to the Netflixes and the NBAs and the NFL and the Procter & Gambles of the world. That's what we really had through our legacy product, which was mainly around analyzing your fans, analyzing your competitors' fans. So it was pretty seamless fit when we did decide to talk to their leadership team about, hey, are you guys interested in selling? They actually at the time were in the market for selling the company, and we were able to find a good middle ground where we were able to essentially acquire them, but not only take on their tech like we did with Social Rank, but also bring on their team members. And so a lot of their team members on their support side, on their sales side, and especially on their product side are still actually TrueFan employees now. And it's been amazing to see that, no one from Player GG that we actively hired has left the company. So that was a pretty good sign of the acquisition going well.
in terms of acquisitions, when people hear acquisitions, they're thinking straight cash deals, there's stock option deals, there's many different ways you can acquire the company. What
Yep.
method did you guys use to acquire Player GG?
So I can't actually disclose that. It's just legally something that we signed that we couldn't disclose. I will obviously say though that in the two acquisitions we've done, we've done a hybrid. You know, we've had one where we were offering pure cash, and we've had another one where we were offering pure equity. And so that's all I can really say. But we've had experience kind of dealing with both.
Solid, solid.
Yep.
Most definitely. And now you've had an exponential growth in the last little while, right? So walk us through like your team management style, going from managing 10 people to managing just under 50 people or around 50 people. You know, how has that changed for you? And thing is too is that you're young, you know, and ageism is very real in the corporate environment and running a team. So how do you deal with that as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was over the last year and a half, 2 years, I think was just trusting the executive team a lot more, making sure that they felt like they had autonomy over their department. They knew exactly what they could control within their department. They had the ability to hire people and fire people when they saw fit. So I started actually maybe not pressing the throttle down too hard, started letting go and kind of overseeing more so what was happening at a high level. And so for me, like even now, you know, my job is really around, you know, helping the executive team hire. Obviously, it's around fundraising, and it's also around key partnerships and key sales opportunities that we can bring in. That's really what my role as CEO right now entails. You know, none of it is around team management. None of it is around, you know, specifically going into the weeds and selling or hiring. That's exactly what we're trusting our team to do, and that's exactly what we're trusting the executive team to also do. So yeah, that's been the biggest thing for me is I've just been constantly setting the direction of where we go as a company and then trusting the executive team to make sure that they're doing the right things to be able to prepare for that vision and get to it.
Got you. And, you know, with being in that position, where do you get your knowledge from now? Like, where are you learning how to make the next moves? Because, you know, do you have a mentor that you usually go to? What's the usual process for someone in your position?
I think it's just honestly my co-founder and I just talking. Like we sync up every single day. You know, I talk to him at least for an hour each day, and we talk about not only things, you know, here are like some situations or fires that we need to put out today, but we also just talk generally about where we're going and just constantly making sure that both him and I are aligned with where we want to go. So even with surf, you know, it's not like we read a book. It's not like we watched a movie. It's not like we spoke to a mentor and came up with the idea for building a browser extension that gives people points for just passively browsing the web. It was actually Onik who phoned me at 3 a.m. and said, hey, man, I have this pretty ridiculous idea. Do you know how Lolly gives people Bitcoin back for shopping? Do you know how Drop gives people points back for shopping? Well, what if we built a rewards app for browsing? And that's where we then, you know, did our research, spent about 1 to 3 weeks brainstorming, you know, who are competitors in the space, how have, you know, users used those tools before, what are some limitations that they have, what is the business model going to look like, how do we go about building this product, what is it going to look like. That's where we really spent a lot of time between me, him, Andrew, the rest of our executive team, basically creating a blueprint that we're now acting upon. So it's been pretty neat, you know, the fact that we started a new product very kind of on the whim, if you will. It was a gut reaction. It wasn't like it was something planned from the beginning of TrueFan or something planned at the start of the year. We literally I just got a phone call at 3 a.m. from Onik. We talked about it. We planned it for about 2-3 weeks. And then April, we did the entire mock-ups for the product with an incredible UX designer. And then May all the way up to July, we were building and getting our dev team to be very heads down and making sure that we were ready for a beta, which obviously we were able to get done in August and do a public launch in September.
Nice, man. And you know what's crazy, man? Like when people look at you, you're mid-20s now, right? How old are you again?
24, yeah.
24, right?
Yeah.
You've accomplished a lot. You have, you know, a great business, TrueFan, Social Rank. You've acquired some businesses. What I want to understand is, what does success look like for you? As you know, you've done so much in so little time. How does your perspective change the way you look at success from a business standpoint and also from a personal level?
I think that the most important thing I've learned, especially over the last year and a half of being kind of locked into a house, really, and, you know, obviously dealing with the pandemic in my own way, is the best kind of people, I think, when it comes to like how they think about success, is it's a very non-monetary for me. Like I generally have never been someone very like money oriented. Like I've candidly done things at times that even were very against money, but just things I wanted to do, like, you know, going and speaking at an event, but out of pocket, you know, paying money for a flight, paying money to go and eat there, paying money for a hotel, just because I really liked the event and I wanted to speak there. So there's certain things like that that have made me realize that success for me comes down to just the projects I'm working on and the people I'm working with. And if those two things are exciting and those two things continue to motivate me, I will feel successful every single day. It's why I loved surf so much, because it wasn't like I was getting bored with TrueFan, but we had never had a spark. You know, I think we had acquired these companies, we brought these team members, but we were never building something that I had ever felt was like, whoa, the overarching impact of what we were building is incredible. You know, we were previously just a B2B analytics company. We were just giving you analytics on your audience. We were allowing you to engage with your audience in more targeted ways. But, you know, if we didn't exist, the world really wouldn't change that much. Like, the world is definitely better with TrueFan in it, but the world would continue to exist and there wouldn't be any problems if TrueFan wasn't in it. But with Surf, what's cool is that it's a generational product, in my opinion. It's something that if we do this right, we could disrupt a humongous market here, where you have companies like Google, you have companies like Amazon, you have companies like Facebook that have continued to take data from people without giving them any piece of the pie, that have continued to take data from people without giving them the transparency over what they're sharing, that have continued to take data from people without giving them the ability to control their data and manage what they share. Those are the values that Surf was built on. And I think if we do this really well and we can put out the right image of what a true tech company dealing with data can do in an ethical way, I think we can make a lot of waves in the community.
All right. So what's your prediction when it comes to brands like Facebook? Do you see them, you know, fading away into the distance? Like, how do you think they're going to be able to compete once Google cuts off their cookies and Apple probably just like gives an even harder time for Facebook? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think Facebook's going to continue to lose relevancy, in my opinion. I don't think they'll ever disappear because they're just so smart about the properties they own, right? They own WhatsApp, they own Instagram. I mean, the Facebook outage kind of proved to the world how dependent we are on their platforms. But I do think that when you think of Facebook, when you think of Amazon, when you think of Google, when you think of Microsoft, these big tech companies in 5 or 10 years are going to look very different. And the real play here that is going to cause them to break apart is the antitrust issues that are currently going on, right? A lot of these companies have been accused of being a monopoly. A lot of these companies have been accused by antitrust organizations of eradicating competition and not doing a good job of creating it. That's where I think these companies are going to be broken up over the next few years. I think Google's first, I think Facebook's next, and I think we go down the cycle from there.
Yeah, if the lobbyists don't lobby hard enough, essentially.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely, man. All right, as we work towards wrapping up, man, where do you see the company going in the next 3 to 5 years?
The goal of TrueFan is to be the leading provider of high fidelity data to brands, which means, by high fidelity, we mean opt-in data from people who are being compensated for their data. Because that, in our opinion, is the most pure form of data. It comes from people who actually want to share their data. It comes from people who are more willing to share even more because they're getting something out of it. So we want to be the leading provider of high-fidelity data to brands, and we want to redefine the role of consumers in the data economy. Because for the longest time, humans have been treated like an extractable resource, and we don't fundamentally believe that that should be our role in the data economy. We think that we can be, people that are cut in, candidly, to the data economy. And again, this is very naive. I don't think this is a 3 to 5 year goal, but this is definitely a long-term goal. I'm a huge proponent of universal basic income, and I do think that one aspect of universal basic income can definitely be met through data sharing. And I think it'd be really cool if down the road we could see TrueFan be a company that helps people get some money in their pockets through the data they already share on a daily basis, whether it's browsing data, whether it's the data you send through Facebook, whether it's the data you send when you're on Netflix. Why not be able to monetize all of that and make a little bit of money from it?
Absolutely, man.
Sounds like you want that smoke with Facebook, man.
Yeah.
Listen, I see you pulling up all this data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, honestly,
I think
Facebook has done so much good for the world, but I think there's been some pretty clear mistakes they've made that they've had a lot of time to fix, but for some reason they just haven't fixed it yet. So I'm hoping that startups like us will be able to push them to do it.
Honestly, like my biggest gripe isn't even the data; it's the algorithm. The fact that they chose to reward engagement over actual
Yep.
Being able to have content load naturally, I
Yep.
think is the biggest thing, because human nature, as we've seen now, is gonna go towards anger. So
Yep.
that's gonna spark anger consistently. And like personally, every time I go on Facebook or Instagram, I always see something that angers me, and it's
Right.
because that's what you engage with, and
Yep.
anger will
Yep.
continuously cause engagement, and it's hard
Yep.
to
Yep.
program yourself out of that
Totally.
feed.
Totally.
So naturally, if I'm in Bolivia, Facebook does not have the scale to match global content. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like if I'm in Bolivia, Nigeria, not even Nigeria. What's another, like a foreign country as small? It's so easy to destabilize by putting political content through Facebook and enrage people and then disrupt that economy. You know what I'm saying? But listen, I'm a Facebook marketer. This is what I do day in and day out. I'm an ads manager all day. That's the
Yep.
only thing I feel like is the one thing that I'm like, this is like, if y'all just solve that, because it's literally just saying, hey, we'll take a little money in and
Yep.
give more money out.
Yep.
And they could actually change people, change lives.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
That's the only thing, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we work towards wrapping up, man. Oh, anything else you want to add?
No, man, I just want to say I'm proud of you, Swish, bro.
Thank you.
You've done a lot of great work. It's just crazy, like, understanding from where you were at last April to where you are now and the perspectives you've had over time. It's just awesome to see, man. And this is why we do the 100th episode, is to see the growth of the people we've had on the show and what new ideas it can come and share with our audience, man. So I just want to tip my hat off to you and your team and Onik for everything you're doing, and just keep going.
Definitely. No, appreciate that. And 100%, it's been a team effort. So it's been a crazy ride over the last year. But one thing that I'm super proud about more than anything, the metrics we have, the users we have, the products we build, is candidly the team that we have. They've just been incredible. And honestly, like, especially throughout the pandemic, we've become even closer with our team than ever before. So they really do feel like family.
How are you managing? This is the last question. How are you managing folks throughout the pandemic? Like,
Yep.
how are you not knowing that, like, they're just, putting their laptop on a specific mode so it's continuously loading? Like, do you actively manage that screen time, all that kind of stuff, to make sure people are on task? Like, how has management changed for you over the last year as well?
I mean, the one big thing we've told people is, look, we're going to invest in really great online tools, but at the end of the day, if you want to take a break, take a break. There's no set hours during the day that you need to work. As long as you're getting your work done in some way, that's all we're going to focus on. So if you feel like, hey, I'm really ahead on my work right now and I want to take Wednesday off, take Wednesday off. We introduced an unlimited vacation day policy. So if people did want to do staycations, which obviously became very popular during the pandemic, where you go like up north to a cottage, or, you stay within your area, but you go somewhere else in your area, you can do that. So that was number one, is just giving a little bit more freedom and flexibility to people so that, yes, they could work wherever they want, but they could also work their own hours. As long as they're meeting their goals, we're happy. And the second big thing, I think, was just, more frequent touch points with our team as well, right? Like, the biggest thing I encouraged was over communication. There's no problem with over communicating. So if you want everyone to be on the same page, over communicate. For me, like, even if it's a small thing, like, here's our plan for next week when it comes to social media and what we're going to be posting. I want my CMO to make a post about that to the entire team, so the entire team is aware of it. It might seem mundane because you might have just got off a call with the 5 team members that were all within marketing, but sending that message is a great way for the entire team to feel a part of something, even if they're not in your department. So over communicating is something I encouraged. It's why, we still do a Monday morning huddle. We do a Wednesday executive call. We encourage people in a team notification Slack channel to tell us when they're leaving for the day so we can tell them bye. We also encourage doing a Friday team call. Every 2 weeks, we do a Friday cheers where we play a game, whether it's Pictionary or whether we're doing karaoke or we're giving childhood photos and we're guessing who's who. So we do stuff like that to make sure that people know that even though we might be working virtually and remotely, you're still feeling like you're a part of a team and you're part of something bigger.
Got you.
Yep.
Awesome, Swish, man. Thank you for coming on once again.
Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
Same here. Thank you, guys.
Anytime, man. We got you. We got your back.
The hustle is what you can control, so control your grind and control your life. I'm Alex.
And I'm Owen. Swish, you gotta Swish, you gotta outro out, bro. We just tossed you an alley oop.
And
Sorry,
and
my
you're-
bad. And I'm Swish.
Hey, let's get it.
And that's
My
hustle
bad.
over everything.
My bad.
Nah, bro, it's an inside joke we always do. Like, we say, I'm Alex, I'm Owen, and then we just kind of stay silent and hope like the guest catches on.
Let's see if they catch it or they don't.
And they don't. You gotta
Yeah.
catch that alley oop, bro.
I love it. You
Yeah,
guys should
catch
not
that
edit
dude.
that though. Keep that in. Just keep like a random pause, and it's like, and I'm Swish.
Yeah, we definitely will, man.
Awesome, bro. All right, Swish, man. Thank you again. Thank you so much for listening. The conversation continues on our Instagram at 247hustler. We post very frequently. And be sure to check out our merch at hustleovereverything.co. We have some amazing sweaters, hats, mugs, and a lot more. Lastly, our Proud to Pay program is linked in the description below. Thank you so much for your support. Talk to you next Monday. Peace.